Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about two books that I read towards the second half of June. I have already filmed the first half of my June reading experience, so I will link that above and I will link that down below. The first book I'm going to speak about is Dark Eden by Chris Beckett. This is part of a trilogy and this is the first in the trilogy. I really enjoyed this book. I think I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. When I first started reading it, I didn't think I was going to like it. It was very slow. Dark Eden is a book about a group of people who are on this planet called Eden. The back says, you're a member of the family, one of 532 descendants of Angela and Tommy, who were the two first people to land on this planet, and they've since populated it with these people. And these people have sort of divided themselves into different neighbourhoods. They still have their anniversaries where every single year they come back and celebrate basically the beginning of them and how they're looking forward to people from Earth coming to find them and bring them back to Earth. These are the people that have never ever in their lives seen Earth. They were all born on this planet. And what happens in this story is our main protagonist, John Red Lantern, decides he's really sick and tired of all these traditions and waiting for people to come and take them from the planet of Eden to Earth, because what if they never come? As a result of the fact that they think someone is coming to save them, they have never moved away from the place where Angela and Tommy sort of first decided to make a family. As a result, John feels like there's so much more of their planet where they live that has been left unexplored. He gets really bored and sick of the traditions one day, behaves in a really selfish way, but then is able to go out exploring and is able to get some people from the existing family who are also a bit disgruntled with the way things are happening to go with him, and by doing that they are able to explore this new planet. What ends up happening is the fact that they discover there is more to their planet than this place that they live in, and essentially it's about them being innovative, being fearless, exploring new places. As a result of them being descendants from these two people, there has obviously been a lot of incest going on, and therefore there are people with deformities. They call them like clawfoot, bat face, and then you get people who are normal looking people. Aside from what I've said, that is the huge overarching plot. In the middle of this there is obviously the talk of power, the fact that what John wants is disruptive to what a lot of the other people want. A lot of people just want to stay stable, they don't want to move, they're waiting for people to come back for them. There's a lot of interesting talk of how, I guess, a civilization is made, how a group of people are made in the sense of people having sex with each other. They call it slip here. Babies are born to mums and they don't know who their dads are. It's not a huge issue here, but it's just that fact that the laws are so blurred. Very interesting there's not a term for rape there because it's not something that actually happens. Just so many little things that you learn that as a society you have to come together and make rules about things that can't and can happen. And I really like this book for sort of building that up in my head, that, you know, it just sort of drills down from two people and then it grows and grows and you have to learn to adopt. What I liked about this was the exploration part where John, you know, and his group of people go out exploring, and it's how, as I think they're about teenagers, they're either teenagers or early 20s, how they decide to sort of form a new way of living. It shows you that sort of frustration that an individual person must go through in order to sort of lead a group of people but also make sure they're okay. As for our main character John, I didn't really like or dislike him. I thought he was the perfect character in terms of you needed someone with that sort of disregard for traditions and I guess a little bit like a disregard for respect. I did think he was very disrespectful in some of the things that he did, but I understand he wanted to do them because he wanted to progress. But I feel that that is where he crossed the line, and that is where there starts to be war and blood starts to be shed. And sadly some of these things are necessary, but it just shows what I think sometimes it shows you what it takes to be a leader, and that you need some people who are leaders, some people who are followers, and just people who are leaders but happy to not take all the glory. As it so happens, John's trip is not in vain. The things that him and his team discover sort of shape them as children but also shapes the rest of the family as well. But you don't really get to find that out until you move on to the next books in the series. I love the way the book ended because it was a good ending for the group of people we were seeing and getting to know, but it wasn't ever an ending that was so close that it could never be picked up again. So I have already started to read the second part of Dark Eden, and whilst I'm sad that it's not a continuation of the characters that I've grown to love in this book, it is nice that it's sort of gone like a few hundred years into the future after this book, and you're seeing how people have settled down since then. The next book I'm going to speak about is Don't Touch My Hair by Emma. I'm not sure of her surname, but I finally finished this and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was packed with so much knowledge that I would need to read it. I would need to buy the book in its physical format just so I can underline a lot of things and just come back to it. This book is essentially about our author Emma, who is mixed race Irish. So she was born in Ireland. I'm pretty sure her mum is Irish. Or was she born in America, but her mum is Irish and her dad is like Guyanese or something like that. I'm not too sure. She's mixed race and she has what is known as 4C hair, same hair type as me, but it's typically hair that's found in black people, but also she's mixed race, but usually mixed race have probably like 3C type hair. And whereas she does detail her own personal sort of feelings about her hair, what she's really doing in this book is going back into the history of hair and African hair, how Africans used to wear their hair. She's particularly talking about Nigeria a lot in this book because that is where she's from, so no, her dad's not from Guyana. I don't know why I said that, but she particularly drills down into that of the different hairstyles and how hair was celebrated back then. I think the book is split up into about 6 chapters in total. Some of the chapters do focus on slavery, focuses on about hair in America. My particularly favourite chapter is the one where she talks about hair and mass. I know that sounds so random, but you'll see some really intricate designs of hairstyles on black people, and it's about the mathematical patterns that they are and the maths that people would have had to know to have done that, but in the sense that actually they haven't thought about it as maths, it's more they've thought about it as how it looks like a design. They can just look at it and be like, this is how I'm going to craft it. Essentially the book is packed with academic sort of resources and references and statements backing up the fact that in society black culture is celebrated but black people aren't, and especially one thing that comes to it is the hate for black people's hair that comes from black people and from other people, and I guess she's just trying to reclaim that by giving us a lot of knowledge about the roots of our hair and how our ancestors used to talk about our hair in the past. The book is filled with so much historical knowledge on black people and black hair, and I think one of the most important things she aims for any reader to take away from this book, especially if you're a black person reading this book, is the fact that now a lot of black people see the fact of doing their own natural hair as very tiresome and very long. We see it as a cumbersome task when really it should be something that we enjoy, like a labour of love, and I really do see where she's coming from. At the same time, it was a bit like, girl, we ain't got all that much time that we did, like they used to have back in those days. But I understand where she's coming from, and I understand the fact that she's wanting people to take pride in their hair, their deep history and all those sorts of things. I think I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 because whilst I thought it was absolutely invaluable, I felt like at some point she was pulling out certain things just to make her point. I felt we could have done without a lot of that because her point had already been reinforced so many times, but I also felt at some point she'd say a point and then drill down into this whole story. It would go on for like 3 or 4 pages and then we'd come back to the original point she was trying to make, simply because she'd gone off on a tangent trying so hard to prove that one point. I just thought it was a bit unnecessary, and that happened a couple of times. I just really felt an editor would have been like, you need to strip these bits out, make them a little bit shorter so that people don't forget the original point, that people don't forget what they were originally reading, because a couple of times I just had to flip back and be like, how is this relevant? And that's all there is really to the book. It's a good source of knowledge and it's definitely one that I'm going to pick out and buy, and I think it's one that's going to be a really good resource for a lot of girls growing up now, people like me in their late 20s growing up now, and just sort of changing that thought that you have about your hair, changing that mindset that you have about the things that you're born with and the things that you can't change. So those were the 2 books that I've read this month. I actually did start listening to An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, the winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction. I started listening to it on Scribd and I thought it sounded really good. I listened to the first 2 chapters, I thought it sounded really good, so I decided instead that I really wanted to read it because I know the next chapter something terrible is going to happen, and for some reason I'm really anxious about hearing that. I just want to read it on a page where I feel I can control it a little bit more. So yeah, I haven't marked that down on my Goodreads or anything, but I'm definitely going to go back and read that because it sounds absolutely brilliant. But that was my month of June done. So yeah, we're halfway through the year now. We're halfway through the year, so I'm going to need to revisit the goals that I set in the beginning of the year, which is going to be interesting, but I will do that in my next video. But that is all from me today. I hope you're having a really good day. Let me know about any of the books that you have been reading in June. If you have any thoughts about what I've talked about, please do let me know. And yeah, don't forget to check out my other June video, my mid-month wrap up, because I talk about 3 other books there. I will see you in my next one. Bye!